Hi there. Okay, so this demo shows you within LeadsHook how you can submit a lead to LeadByte. So you post a lead to LeadByte. You then poll for an update, so an outcome of that lead, specifically the outcome of the lead being sold. There are essentially two key statuses within LeadByte when a lead arrives. A lead is either system accepted or system rejected. When it's system accepted, a lead can then be either sold or unsold. The polling element of this setup is aiming to identify whether the lead has been sold or unsold. And this is what we'll take you through now. So in this setup, we're just asking for first name. We are then posting the lead to a LeadByte campaign. In this instance, it's demo 1. What we are then doing on that post is we are storing a QID that comes back, and that's quite important because that's how you ultimately poll. So we've created a custom field in LeadByte called, in LeadsHook called QID. If I test this request, you can see an example here of what comes back. So this is the request that's been made. This is the response from LeadByte, and this is what we're storing. This is what we're storing in LeadsHook. So it's the QID because we need that to poll to find out what happened. So once the post has been done, we then have another node, API node, that polls for an update. So it's polling this URL and it's replacing the value that we've stored, the QID that we've stored in LeadsHook. It's essentially polling for an update. What will then happen is we want to store the status of the lead, specifically the status. So the status is always, hopefully, always success, and the specific status of the buyer. So we're looking for an approved status. And then we want to store the buyer reference. And these elements actually come from LeadByte. So if I give an example of this, what I'm going to do, if I discard this, so you can actually see how this works. If I actually make a request now, so I'll do this one again, we get back a QID. So that's first of all what we are storing in LeadsHook. If I then go to polling element, and I can do a test request here, what I'm going to do now is enter in that QID, and you'll see what will come back. So you see that the first status is success. That's really important. We want that. That means that the lead has been successfully received. We are then looking for the status of the actual record itself. So we're looking for a status of approved. That'll either be approved or invalid. So either essentially it's sold or unsold, and we call it approved. And then what we're looking for is specifically this buyer side. We're looking for the buyer reference and buyer number 3. This data is obviously stored in LeadByte, so that's what we're sending back to LeadsHook. So as part of the decision node, what we're essentially doing is if it's success and if it's approved and if it's buyer 3, then redirect to page number 3, for example. If we don't have a status of approved, so for example, it's pending, we're still trying to allocate it to a buyer, then essentially the decision node will then loop back to the API request and it will do another request. So it kind of go into a loop until it's met a condition. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense, relatively straightforward. This is the decision node, and I'm going to show you here an example. If I just go straight away to where it's been sold. So what we're looking for is a status of success. We're looking for the record status of approved, so the lead has been sold. And we're looking for a status, a buyer reference of 1. And if that buyer reference of 1 is true, then it will go to this page here. And if I just eyeball this, what we're doing is going, hey, thanks, you'll be contacted by buyer 1. So hopefully that makes sense. So we receive the data, we pass the data to LeadByte, we store the QID against a custom field in LeadsHook. We then poll LeadByte to find out what's happened to that QID, and this, if it's pending, it will go back to a loop, so it will keep polling. And if it's not in status of pending, so it's either invalid or it's approved, it will then go to one of these results pages, and that's essentially how it works. I'm just going to show you now. This is a decision tree that we just quickly put together, so the one that I've just shown you here. So we've slowed it down purposely, but we're waiting for the lead to now be sold. So this should now go to higher than 2 anyway, so 5. So we can see that the lead has come in. We've put a delay actually on the deliveries, so we're now waiting for a response. And it's now been allocated. And we see it's gone to buyer number 3. It got rejected by buyer number 1, you see there. It's gone to buyer number 3. And if we now go to the results page, you see buyer number 3. And we'll just do that one more time. So we submit the lead. If I search this, we'll now see 6. It's gone to buyer number 2 this time. So it got rejected by buyer number 1. It's gone to buyer number 2. And there's buyer number 2 there. And that's how it works. So if you have any questions, feel free to raise a support ticket. If you follow this guide, hopefully you will be able to achieve the results that you need to get back the buyer response.